Hey, what's up, guys? Got another video for you. This is Tuned in Sports here. My name is Bryson.
I'm Bennett.
And today we're going to be bringing you some more NBA content. Primarily just talking about different teams, different people that we follow, that we don't follow, what we think about for the upcoming years, right?
Yeah, exactly. Kind of getting into, some of the younger players, how they've been playing, who we think is really going to be having a big impact in the coming seasons. And, maybe some different teams that could be making some moves to, possibly get themselves in the running right away. Yeah. That weren't possibly there next season,
Or that weren't
there last season is what I meant to say.
Yeah, but maybe have good futures ahead of them or something.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So, let's go ahead and get started off with the Miami Heat. Man, they got a lot of nice pieces there, and as you can see, they were in the finals this past year. So, I've always been a huge Tyler Hero fan. I think that guy is just serious. He proved himself in this playoffs. Also Duncan Robinson, another one. Really a big fan of his. Really good shooter. Both of those guys actually are really good shooters. So, what's your thoughts on the Heat?
Yeah, no, I think the Heat should be pretty solid moving forward. Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, both those guys are on their rookie contracts. They got Jimmy Butler inked to, I think, 3 more years, right?
Yep.
As well as they got Bam Adebayo.
Yep.
And Goran Dragic. I don't know how long or how much longer he'll be signed there. But, based on how he played, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't try to re-sign him. As well as they got Jay Crowder, who's a pretty solid player.
Yeah.
So they've got weapons and stuff all across the board. I think maybe, they're missing a couple of pieces here and there.
But, to me, they're not far. They proved it already that they can win. I realize they didn't beat the Lakers in the finals, but you also got to look at it as, they had some injuries. Couple of their main guys missed a couple games in that series.
Yep.
So, who's to say that didn't have a big impact, and kind of how that series played out. But I don't think they're anything but a piece or two away from really having a good shot at winning the title.
Yeah.
So, and you got to figure, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, those guys are only going to improve.
Yeah.
So, man, I look at the Heat and think, man, I would love to be in the situation they're in. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. But, they made it, but I was expecting them to be pretty good. So I wasn't necessarily surprised when they ended up to be pretty dang good. But, there's a lot of teams that I think moving forward are going to be very interesting. Brooklyn, they had, their first round matchup against Milwaukee, I think it was.
No, it was the Raptors.
The Raptors, that's right. And they got swept, I believe.
Yep.
But, they're moving forward. They didn't even have KD, Kyrie. I don't think they had Spencer Dinwiddie.
No, the Nets are another team, though. Mm-hmm. KD and Kyrie being there, that's going to take that team to a different level.
That's going to elevate them for sure. And, they got to the whatever seed they were.
They were 7th.
They got to whatever seed they were without those guys.
Basically.
Kyrie played some, but he didn't play a good portion of the season. So that just goes to show how good they are and how good they're going to be when they add those pieces in.
Yeah, and that they're kind of like the Clippers from 2018, 2019. You know how we made the playoffs with no All-Stars.
Exactly.
They are like the perfect example of that. And it really goes back to their coaching. They got an awesome coach there right now, in my opinion. That guy has way, performed above expectations. To me, looking at their roster, I've not looked at that roster and thought that's a playoff team. I mean, at least in my opinion. I don't.
He's had them in the playoffs.
Exactly. He's had them in the playoffs, so that's the point.
Yep.
I don't think they're anywhere close to the best team in the East, in these last couple seasons. But, like I said, going above expectations, and that coach knows how to do it. So.
Yep, and they've kind of already set, like you said, I think that was a pretty good analogy you made where you're talking about the Nets. The Nets in comparison to the Clippers from last year, where they had a team that had a lot of solid core pieces or whatever, but they didn't have the main people to really carry it.
Yep.
But now that's exactly what they're going to have, and the same number of them, too.
like we did this year. But difference is that they'll probably get the job done while we're getting out in the second round, But, yeah, nonetheless, I mean, if you're a Nets fan, you got to be feeling pretty good.
Well, the difference is, too, is that they get to do it in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, that, too.
The Western Conference, you get a little bit more of a fight if you're going to do anything on that side of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's going to be a lot of teams in there, and even some teams that weren't even really a part of it this year, like obviously the Warriors, Clay and Curry are going to be back. Draymond, they got Andrew, I mean.
Andy Wiggins.
Yeah, Andrew Wiggins and, Draymond. Do they still have Willie Cauley-Stein?
I think so. Well, actually, I think he was only there for a year contract.
Yeah, so.
But nonetheless, I could see them re-signing him.
If they could afford him.
Yeah. I think he's definitely a valuable piece for a team that's kind of headed in the right direction and looking to build a contender.
Yeah, so I don't know what they're going to end up looking like, but they should be really, really solid.
Yep.
But, moving forward, I really think that they're going to be a solid team, and they're going to be somebody that you have to watch out for, and, they'll probably be at the very least right there with the Lakers and some of these other top teams in the West.
Yeah, the Warriors, yeah, probably.
And then the Suns, with the way that they played at the end of in the bubble, and just the fact of how they were playing before, what's his name, DeAndre Ayton? Or Cameron Ayton, or whatever his name
DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre Ayton. The way they were playing with him before he had that stupid 25-game suspension for PEDs or whatever the hell it was. Yeah. I mean, they were playing well with him before, and now he was back for the bubble, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And they didn't lose.
To me, the Suns are another team, man. I don't see them going anywhere but up. I think Ayton and Booker, those two are great together. And I feel like they just fit well, And Suns are another team that I think only a couple pieces away from being a legit.
Yeah, it's just going to be a matter of if they can get those pieces and keep the pieces they have without them saying, okay, I'm heading.
Because, we've already heard a couple things about, Devin Booker possibly being on the trade market. And
yeah, exactly.
So, You never know, but I mean, if I'm the Suns, I'm not getting rid of Devin Booker. I don't think he's the problem there.
Yep, exactly. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what ends up happening. Another team kind of on the uprising, I think, is potentially the Hawks. You know, if they if they
I
could
agree.
get some pieces around Mr. Trae Young, he's definitely going to be a solid point guard in the league for years to come. It's just going to be kind of like the Bradley Beal, John Wall thing in Washington, where are they going to be the only people worth talking about in the city, or are you actually going to build around them?
Yeah, I think Trae Young is legit. I like Trae Young. I think he's a really good player, and he can definitely shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
And has great handles. That's another part of his game that I've been really impressed with. But, yeah, they're another team that I feel are only, possibly a couple pieces away from being in the playoffs. At least.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of teams that really... I mean, in some respects, you could say that all the teams are only a couple pieces away, but... some of the pieces are a lot bigger holes than others.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, like for instance, you could say Charlotte's only a couple pieces away, but those couple of pieces aren't just going to happen over an off season.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's like a problem with them. But with the Hawks, it's kind of the same thing. Like I feel like it's going to take more than just a player here and a player there for them to get better. And also, I think it's going to take a couple years anyways, just because they don't really have playoff experience.
Yeah, me personally, I've never... I don't know. Do you know who's coaching there right now? Because
no, I can't.
Me personally,
I've
never been a big fan of the guy.
No, I can't think of his name.
I don't remember his name, but me personally, I haven't been that big of a fan with the job he's done there.
Yeah, but I don't think that they really have a whole lot there. So I mean, I don't think the coach is the difference between what they've been and what they would be if someone else was there. The only reason I could see that making a difference is if they had some high quality name that wasn't going to accept just being decent.
Yeah, exactly.
But apart from that, I don't really see them like, the coach being the main reason that they were not making playoff appearances as opposed to winning NBA championships. I mean, so I think he's done fine, but
you also don't want to run into that situation like some NFL teams especially run into where coach comes in there, doesn't have success for a year, then all of a sudden you're back in the coaching search because you fired him.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give guys time to develop and bring the guys in that they want.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but, I mean, in some respects, they can blame it on the coaching if they want, but, I think they've had a decent amount of talent walk through the doors at Atlanta over the years, and at least since I've been alive, they haven't really been relevant at all. And so I really think, but like I said, it not necessarily because they haven't had any talent on the team, but I just feel like a lot of the time the talent is just wasted in Atlanta because they don't seem to put anybody around them, or if they do or maybe they do try to put people around them, but who they decide to bring in to do it doesn't ever work out.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's just Atlanta, but moving forward into another team with a extremely bright future, we talked a little bit about the Mavericks on the playoff video that we made, but they're going to be really serious, and in some respects, they might be a healthy Porzingis away from being a championship contender. I mean, with the last playoffs, he was so in and out and hurt and not hurt and suspended and kicked out and this, that, and the other thing, that it was really hard to get a feel for how good they could be with him on the floor.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about the Mavericks is they definitely need to keep Steph Curry around.
Seth Curry, yeah.
They need to keep him around because that guy, he played phenomenal in the playoffs. Not only for the Blazers the year before this,
Yeah.
but them this year. He really performed.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely something that you could build around for that bench unit that they got.
Yeah, no, I think what the Mavericks really need is just people that can help.
Yeah.
Because, obviously Luka is going to be Luka. He's one of the best players in the NBA right now, and he's only in his second year, coming up on his third now, I think.
Yeah.
And he's already one of the best, if not, some people might argue he is the best player in the NBA. I don't know necessarily where I would rank him, but I definitely say probably top 5. And he's just an exceptional talent. And so he's going to be him. You're not, no matter what Pat Bev or Marcus Morris or some of these other fruitcakes want to tell you, they're not stopping Luka Doncic when if Luka
wants to score, he's gonna score.
If he wants to score, he's gonna score. If he wants to put up 40, he's gonna put up 40, and you're just gonna be along for the ride. I don't care who's guarding him.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, he's gonna get his points. You don't have to worry about that. But it's when he goes to the bench, especially with no Porzingis. It's when he goes to the bench that, it's like, where's your scoring coming from? Now, like you said, they got some pieces like Seth Curry played well. What was the name of that one guy? Alec Burks or Trey Burke?
Yeah.
Was it Trey Burke or Alec Burks?
I think it was Trey.
I think it was Trey Burke or it was either Trey Burke or Alec Burks.
One of the two. But
dude played huge during the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree.
What was he? I think he was number 32, right? I'm pretty sure. But anyway, he played huge. And then also, you look at somebody like
I think if they could get, somebody that could be a good replacement for Tim Hardaway, like
they're getting rid of Tim Hardaway?
No, they're not going to get rid of him. I'm saying, like, if they could have a good backup for him.
Oh, gotcha.
I think
Tim Hardaway too. There's another guy that played huge in that series against the Clippers. I mean, just about any time he was left open, you could count it. And that's what I think that's what the Mavericks are really going to need. Because, like I said, I don't think necessarily that they are incapable of winning right now. I just think the biggest problem is, and like I said, we really didn't get to see them at their full potential because there was only like one game where Porzingis played and wasn't injured and played like the whole game, right? And that was game 2, I think.
It was something like that, yeah.
Because game 1 he got ejected, and then I think he actually played all of game 2 and they won.
Yeah.
And the game that he played the whole thing, they won that game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did, but...
But, I mean, the thing is, though, is it was game 3 then. Because Clippers won 1 and 2, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so.
So, regardless, though, I mean, we didn't really get to see enough of the full team healthy to play. But from what I saw, I mean, they got a lot of good... solid players and a couple pieces here and there, just people that can come in and keep the scoring up even when what's his name, Luka sits, and they should be. I mean, there's no reason that they shouldn't be
hell to deal with. That's for sure.
They're already, and a couple pieces more. You add like man. Like a perfect thing that I'm thinking is like, imagine if you put Eric Gordon on the Mavericks. That would be a hell of a signing, and I mean that both ways. It would be a hell of a signing for them, and it would be hell for every other team in the league. if he were to go to the Mavericks.
Yeah.
That would be an excellent signing for them. I don't know if Eric Gordon is wrapped up in a contract with the Rockets or if he's a free agent or what the deal is, and for example, somebody like him would be a wonderful piece on that team.
You know, the good thing about the Mavericks, though, is they got ownership that cares about winning.
Yeah, that's true.
And, you know, who better to have right now in the situation they're in than Mark Cuban? I mean, that guy has a history of winning championships.
Yep.
So, I think ultimately he's going to get that team to where they're really going to be hell to deal with.
Yeah, no, I mean, they should be solid. I don't think there's any reason why they shouldn't be as good, if not better, than last year. And
I think
honestly,
they'll be better than last year.
I'm leaning more towards better than last year. Like I said, Porzingis being hurt and stuff really hurt them this year. But I do believe that they are a pretty solid team. Bennett, you go ahead and keep talking for a minute.
Yeah. But you know, another team that I feel is probably headed on the uppers is the Kings, actually. I think they got a couple nice pieces there with Mr. Fox and Buddy Hield. I heard that Buddy Hield was in some trade rumors, though. So, I don't know exactly what's going to take place with him, but, I mean, if they can keep those two around and then, you know, continue to build that team. They were only a couple games out of the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
So, I don't think they're that far from, you know, maybe an all-star way or so. I mean,
yeah. Only problem with the Kings that I see is that it seems like that's always the story. Boy, if we could just get a couple pieces, we could be right there. But, you know, they've been a couple pieces away since Chris Webber. I mean, essentially, they've had some promising talent for the last decade and have not even made the playoffs once, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
So
last time they were good was when they had Cousins. They made the playoffs at least one season when Cousins was there. I'm pretty sure. But other than that,
I don't even
pretty
know.
much no success at all.
I don't even know if they made it while he was there. I don't recall them making it.
I think they did once.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, I mean, point being, though, is it just seems like they're always a couple pieces away and never seem to get over that hump. But, you know, hopefully for them that can change. You know, and then, let's see, another team that I was thinking of, you know, is the, what's the name of the, did we talk about the Warriors already?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, okay. Toronto, you know, that's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening down there. You know, I think a lot of people this year kind of wrote them off since Kawhi left, but they went out there and proved to the world that, hey, this team was ready to go regardless of Kawhi, and Kawhi was just the needle
the piece that got them over.
That got them over the hump. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, there's no reason that they couldn't get a replaceable Kawhi. I mean, I'm not saying Kawhi can just be replaced, but I'm just saying they get an all-star caliber player in there to do similar to Kawhi, and there's no reason that they couldn't repeat history to me.
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, if they just get one solid dude kind of like that in there to lead that team, I mean, there's no reason that they couldn't do the same thing again. Hell, they took the Celtics to 7 games in the playoffs this year. And no Kawhi.
They could have very easily won it.
Yeah,
they lost in overtime, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So I mean, they're right there and ready. All they are missing really is, like I said, one
just
piece.
that one guy to get them over the hump.
Yeah. So I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there's no reason that somebody couldn't be that one piece and they couldn't be right back in the picture.
Well,
they're still in the picture. I mean,
yeah, they are. But one guy that I used to like. I've never been a huge Kyle Lowry fan, but man, he proved me wrong over these past couple seasons because he was balling out this season in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He really showed up, and, props to him because especially earlier in his career, it was always Raptors make the playoffs, they get knocked out in the first or second round. Yeah. It seemed like. Yeah. So,
well, somebody that I was kind of thinking about is like, you take somebody like Kawhi, I don't know, maybe even like Paul George. If the Lakers or the Clippers end up moving Paul George, and he were to end up on the Raptors, I think that team is ready to go.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think for sure.
But thing is with making a trade to the Clippers to get him, they'd have to give up some of the pieces that they have that makes them so good. So you really can't do that.
Speaking of the Clippers, though, I read something that they actually might be interested in bringing in Marc Gasol.
Marc Gasol?
Me personally, I think it would be worth it. What's your thoughts?
He's a good player, solid player, playoff experience, all that stuff. So, it's hard to say, oh man, that would suck.
I think
But at the same time, it just kind of seems to me like, is he going to be the difference? I don't know. Maybe not.
I think, the thing with him, though, is, he's getting older, but he also, I think, him older is better than what we have right now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think he would be a plus, not a minus for sure. But at the same time, though, I don't know, do you really need him? I feel like you'd have to give up quite a bit.
I think he's a free agent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Well, if you don't have to overpay for him, then absolutely I think he would be worth it. But if you have to pay an arm and a leg, and that means, not giving contracts to other guys that maybe are playing a crucial part on the team or something, then I don't know if he's worth it. I don't know if, he's worth paying the extra arm and a leg to get him. But I definitely think that he is a above average player and plays big in big moments too.
Yep.
So he would definitely be worth getting, but like I said,
who was the
everybody
guy?
has a price.
Who was the guy that I recently heard was going to be playing overseas?
No idea.
I actually think that was Marc Gasol. I don't remember who it was, but it was a center of some sort.
Oh. I don't know, but what I do
If it was Marc Gasol, then just throw everything we said in the garbage because that's probably not going to be happening. But
yeah, well, what I do know though is, if they're able to get somebody like that, like Marc Gasol, that would be a pretty solid piece. But like I said, everybody has a price, so don't overpay for him because I don't think bringing in him alone is the difference between the issues you had last year and going to a finals this year. I think there's a lot more stuff that needs to be ironed out to make that jump. Yeah. Because, honestly, even in the entire playoffs / bubble, you guys really just didn't play that well. So I really don't think, throwing Marc Gasol in the mix is going to be the difference.
I think ultimately what we need is coaching.
Yep. So
honestly, just looking at the roster from last year, I don't think there's any reason why we couldn't have won.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's not I don't know if it's necessarily a coaching issue or a player issue. I mean, part of it is, having enough balls to go around, stuff like that, that really play huge roles in kind of a team success, like the Clippers, for example, with all the weapons they had this season.
All you need to do is just hold out for Giannis.
Hey, I would be all for it if they could grab him, but
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where Giannis is gonna end up. It sounds like I always heard that he wanted to stay in Milwaukee, but then, I don't know. It's kind of, you hear conflicting things, and the media, is gonna push whatever they want to see or want to think. So I don't know. I mean.
yeah.
You could very well have him staying in Milwaukee or watch him end up somewhere else. I don't know.
Speaking of somewhere, if he was to land somewhere else, though, where do you think would be the best fit?
I don't really know where would be the best fit, but I just think, somewhere where he's not the only source of scoring, somewhere that has reliable shooting around him, I guess. But also isn't going to be affected by his lack of scoring by putting him on the team, if that makes sense.
Yeah, honestly, I think the Heat is a team that he should really look into, actually. I think he would be a really good fit there.
Yeah, no, I could see the Heat or, that was kind of the team I was leaning towards. Some people are saying the Warriors and stuff, but I don't necessarily think he'd be a good fit on the Warriors just because their style of offense doesn't really go too well with his game. But then again, I mean, if you have a chance to get somebody like that and, a game changer and a rim protector kind of player like that, then I don't think you mind making some adjustments to your offensive scheme to make room for him.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no doubt that he would be an impact player, so I'm sure that they would happily, change some things around to make him fit the system.
Yeah, definitely.
And one other team, too, that we should probably talk about is...
Yeah, the OKC Thunder.
Mr. 0.2% chance to make the playoffs going into the season. Took the Rockets to 7 games in the last play.
Yeah, really bright future for OKC, I think. Especially with their history in drafting.
They got something
I don't see anything really bad going on there. I mean, how can you complain? I mean, they just got rid of probably their best player, 2 of their best players, and didn't lose a step. If anything, they got better.
Yeah, they played better.
I mean, it's like
they played
crazy.
They played better this year than they did last year overall, which is crazy to think because, after last season, it's hard not to think that we were just throwing in the towel after getting rid of those guys. I was like, well, there goes this. Looks like we're going to be rebuilding for a handful of years, but, their rebuilding ended up being an improvement.
Yeah.
So it was kind of weird. We got Chris Paul and Dennis Schroeder and Shea and Gallo and Steven Adam.
I think
Lugens Dort.
I think Gallo is a really valuable piece for you guys. I really think he's a better player than given credit for. Hell of a shooter that guy is.
Yeah, no, he can definitely help a team for sure. And this season he was able to stay healthy for the most part too.
Yeah, and that really helps. That's for sure because
he was dealing with some injuries when he was on the Clippers pretty frequently, right?
Yeah, especially in his first season there.
Yeah, so, I mean, hey, unfortunately there's not much you can do about that sometimes, but, with all the draft picks and stuff that we acquired it should be really interesting to see what ends up happening with him. And honestly, I can't imagine anything but great things. I mean, just look at the history. Just look at the present. Lugens Dort. I mean, hell, we drafted him, and look at the way he played in the playoffs against Harden.
Yeah.
I mean, he did a great job, and he's a rookie.
Yep.
And if he could just work on his shooting game, I mean, if he could work on his shot a little bit, get more, not necessarily be a knockdown shooter, but even if he could just get a little bit more consistent, that would go a long way in making him a better two-way player. But, you know, he in some ways kind of reminds me of Paul George, because, like, Paul George, when he came into the league, was mostly known, or at least from what I knew of him, was mostly known for his defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then, you know, he started working on his offensive game along with it, but always relied on the defense, too, as, like, the crutch. And then before you know it, you know, he's one of the better players in the NBA.
Yep.
So we'll see what ends up happening with the Thunder, but there's a lot of potential moving pieces. You know, Chris Paul, there's trade rumors all over the place about potential landing spots for him. I was reading something about the Bucks maybe being interested. I read something today about a potential trade with Philadelphia, with him going to the Sixers. I don't know if that's going to end up happening or not, but I read something, just a headline that had him mentioned with the 76ers.
That move doesn't make all that much sense to me for the Sixers.
Well, I'm just saying what I read.
Well, yeah, I know.
It mentioned his name in connection with the 76ers. That's all I'm saying. So there's a whole bunch of places that have been linked with potentially having interest. And, I mean, I don't know. In some respects, I kind of would be sad to see him go, because I have a lot of respect for him and just the way he played this season.
I think he earned himself the contract that he has.
He outperformed my expectations by a long shot. You know, I kind of thought that this year he was going to struggle some and continue to struggle as he got a little bit older, just because it kind of seemed like he struggled some last year. But this year he played excellent for pretty much majority of the games, and, you know, I have a lot of respect for him.
He definitely proved that he was a big game player. Yep. That's for sure.
And not only that, but, you know, excellent job by him with just, you know, continuing to play and keep putting forth your best effort, even though there was trade rumors circling around the entire season, which would be potentially enough for somebody to say, why should I, you know, give my best effort when I'm going to be, you know, why should I put my best effort out there for this team when I don't even know if I'm going to be signed to this team next week? But that didn't stop him from going out there and, you know, hustling and buffling and doing the best that he could out there night in and night out. So I definitely have a lot of respect for that as well.
Yeah, I've always been a huge Shea fan as well. As you know, former Clipper.
Yep.
Got him. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love Shea, and I think that guy is going to be a serious player in these next couple seasons. Mm-hmm. Man, I'm still upset that the Clippers included him in that trade for PG, but, you know, unfortunately it was necessary. I mean, because, you know, I almost feel like we gave up too much, you know? Like, we gave up, 5 draft picks and Gallo and Shea? I mean, that just for Paul George? I mean, I realize Paul George is a good player. but I don't think he's worth two solid players, two great players. I mean, for how both those guys performed on the Clippers the year before this. I don't think he's worth those two guys and 5 draft picks, pretty much giving up our future.
In the first round, too.
Yeah. I don't think he's worth that much. I mean, unfortunately. So
I think, the Thunder got away with a hell of a deal on that one because, as sad as I was to see him go, I mean, I was like, holy crap, we got the boat for him. And, that's all you can ask for, really.
Yeah, no, it was a great trade for the Thunder. It was.
And it worked out great, too, because even though, like I said, we lost our best player and Westbrook as well, we ended up performing better this year than we did last year. We had a better overall record, and we played better in the playoffs, so it's hard to argue.
Ultimately, when it first happened, how can you really argue that the Clippers didn't make the right move?
Yeah.
You're getting Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Those two are arguably the two best two-way players in the league. So, I get why they did it, but now looking back on it, now we're questioning whether that was the right move or not. So, it's going to be interesting to see what the Clippers do this offseason.
Yeah, and the Thunder are just like, all right,
we're rubbing in the draft picks.
We're just going to wash our hands of that mess and enjoy our future. On behalf of the Clippers, we're going to enjoy our future.
Yeah, whereas our future is going to be pretty much no first rounders, and if we want to get anybody good, we're going to have to go through free agency, basically.
Yeah, but you do got Amir Coffey and Coppengeli and some of these guys.
Woo!
And
actually, now that you think of Amir Coffey and Terrence Mann, actually, those two, I was overall pretty impressed with the way those two played. In fact, in the bubble, I'm pretty sure Terrence Mann put up a triple-double in the last game.
Yeah, Terrence Mann, he played some solid basketball, but the thing is he just didn't really see the court too often. But yeah.
I think he's gonna be one of those players that other teams might actually end up having interest in bringing in, possibly.
Yeah.
Because I think he's definitely showed some bright spots while he was on the Clippers this season. For the time that he was playing. Because, ultimately he didn't see the floor that much. But, with the roster we have, I would expect that to be the case,
Yep.
So.
Yeah, no, exactly. They basically just, they basically just already had too many balls to go around, and they didn't want to lengthen their rotation too much, so he basically kind of got the short end of the stick. But, at the end of the day, I think that he at least has proven that he could be a solid player.
Exactly.
Maybe a J-Rob or something.
Well, not necessarily J-Rob, because, I don't think... J-Rob actually has played all right on the Wizards.
Yeah.
I don't think he's played bad.
I know, that's what I said.
Yeah, he could prove himself to be
like a J-Rob or a Sindarius Thornwell or something. He could end up being Sindarius,
Yeah,
Sindarius.
But, hey, I think Amir Coffey is another one. I feel like he played really well when he had the opportunity overall. I feel like he really put up a couple good games.
Yeah.
So, and he's got a lot of size too, and that really helps.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we'll just have to see what ends up happening, but we don't really know of any trades or anything that are going on right now. Free agency, we don't know. There was just a report today that said that the aiming date for NBA returning is January 18th. That's when they're aiming to start the
next season,
2021 season.
Great.
January 18th. So we'll see, fingers crossed that'll happen and we can get back into basketball pretty quick. But, until then, all we can really do is just speculate and talk about what we saw last season. And, of course, every season's different. Of course, last season the Lakers didn't even make the playoffs. And this season they won the championship. So, it is what it is.
Yeah,
that it just goes to show that, one trade or one this or one that, and all of a sudden you could find yourself going from zero to hero.
Yeah.
So, anyways, with that being said, what?
One more thing is we get to look forward to some coaching pickups this offseason for both of our teams.
Yeah, so we'll see what ends up happening with that. I got Bennett's Clippers hat on here. Just represent basketball in general. But we'll see what ends up happening with all of it. One way or another, it should be exciting. Whether that be for a good or for a bad reason.
Hopefully it will be for a good reason. But, I look forward to seeing what happens. And
hopefully our excitement doesn't turn into frustration. But I'm really hopeful, at least for where the Thunder's concerned. I kind of made it known that I was a little frustrated and would be frustrated at the prospect of bringing in some unproven coach to coach the team when there's guys like Nate McMillan and Mark Jackson on the market. But I've kind of been thinking about it a little bit, and really every time that I've doubted the Thunder and stuff, they've managed to do something to show me like, hey, we aren't just throwing in the towel. We're actually trying to do things. And, they've made a lot of decisions that I was like, oh, man, what the hell are you doing? That ended up working out great, like getting rid of Paul George and Westbrook and stuff. I was like, man, this season's going to suck. We're going to be in the craps and we're going to just be terrible all year. And then we're going to have to, rebuild, and Shea's going to be great, but most of these other guys will be gone. Well, we ended up being a shot away from, the second round in the playoffs this year, and we've got tons of draft picks and all kinds of stuff, too. So, again, like I said, I have a lot of faith in the ownership because they've given me no reason not to trust them. I mean, I know we haven't won a championship yet, but we've been relevant basically since they left Seattle and joined or moved and became the Thunder, which is when I decided to root for the team, because that was at that time I didn't really have a team. I rooted for the Lakers because of Kobe. He was my favorite player. But other than that, I didn't really have a team. And I just was like, oh, Thunder, that's really cool. I'll root for them. And so that's what I ended up doing. That's how I became a Thunder fan. And I rooted for the Lakers and the Thunder until Kobe left. And then once Kobe left, I sort of just dropped the Lakers because, like I said, he was the main reason I rooted for him, not the team itself. But with that being said, guys, like I said before, we could sit here and speculate and talk what ifs for another hour and a half, but we don't want to keep you around for too much longer. When more news comes out, more updates, things like that, we'll definitely be here to share our thoughts and talk about them and what they could mean for the upcoming season. But until then, we'll probably just cap the video off here.
Just one more thing, though, is like he was saying with the ownership, I trust the Clippers ownership, too. I don't think that, we fired Doc Rivers and don't have a plan in place for what we want to do there. and I don't see it not working out. Honestly, I really think this ownership knows what they're doing, and I look forward to seeing kind of what direction they take the team. So.
Yeah, well, hopefully for your sake it does, because you got everything pretty much wrapped up in the current roster. You don't have a lot of ways to build to the future with drafting, at least, unless you make some trades for picks. And if you're making trades for picks specifically, then that generally means you're not getting much in the way of players.
Hey, and congrats to Lawrence Frank on the Executive of the Year award.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, with that being said, this has been Tuned In Sports, another basketball talk video. If you like the video, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you tune in to each of our other videos. We got a bunch of different basketball videos talking about Doc Rivers leaving the Clippers, Billy Donovan leaving the Thunder, signing with the Bulls, bunch of different stuff. So if you like this video, make sure you check those out. With that being said, guys, my name is Bryson.
I'm Bennett.
And we'll see you guys in the next video.